Bitcoin is an ideology that spawned a protocol that created an asset that circulates on a network. The ideology is sovereignty, sound money, freedom and property rights, right? Dignity of the human spirit, ownership of your life force, economic sovereignty and immortality. That's the ideology of Bitcoin. And Satoshi gave us that.
Altcoins come and go, narratives change, but Bitcoin is the truth. The hardest money the world has ever seen. I thought about it, long and hard, pros, the cons, dug deep, questioned everything, and at the end of the day, you've got to make up your own damn mind. I have conviction. This is freedom. I'm a Bitcoin maxi. I'm a Bitcoin maxi. I'm a Bitcoin maxi. This is freedom. I'm a Bitcoin maxi. Alright legends, welcome to another live stream. Let me just put the music so softly and gently in the background. There we go. Hope you all had a great weekend. I know it's Tuesday, I didn't do a live stream yesterday, but today I'm here. Right, let's analyze the price of Bitcoin. What can we expect next? Let me see. Yeah, it looks like everything's coming through nicely. Sounds coming through, pictures coming through. If there's any issues, let me know in the comments downstairs. Or on the side, okay, on the side. Right, legends, for now, okay, I'm going to keep it very brief, bright, and I'll be gone. And, right, so let's dive into the technical analysis. Remember to smash up that like button on your way in. And for those of you, just quickly as a reminder, for those of you, before we dive here into the meat and potatoes, Bluffin has got an amazing deal for the whales out there, people trading with slightly larger account sizes. I know there's a lot of you out there. You deposit some money, okay, 25k, you get VIP status 1. You deposit 50k, you automatically get VIP status 2. Right, also 10% cash back up to $3,000, basically meaning that if you deposit $30,000, you get $3,000 cash back to trade with additional on top of the money that you deposit into the exchange. So nice little bonus here running from Bluffin. Okay, see the comments are coming through. I will say hi to the community in a moment, but let's first do a little bit of technical analysis. Has the probabilities changed? Are we going down? We almost claimed this damn high, right? Yeah, we almost claimed the high. Not yet. Almost. But a very significant move that happened over here, really important move that happened there, and you might be asking why, okay? Because when I take a normal fib from the high to that local low over there, okay? And this is quite significant, guys, because this impacts probabilities. When you tap, okay, when you have a three-wave move to the downside and you move up and you tap the 0.88, there's a high chance in claiming this high and moving higher. Okay, it's a probability that I have been talking about during many live streams. Every time you tap that damn 0.8, what happens? Okay, you move higher. I'm not sure if we tapped it inside of this range over here. Yes, we did. Okay, look at what happened here. You move down in a three-wave structure. You tap the 0.8. What happens? Yes, you can still take the low, guys. You can definitely still take the low, but it increases the probabilities that whatever is happening is corrective. You're going to claim that high again. Okay, so there's a chance that price could claim the low again. Then you form a larger three-wave structure, but you're going to take that high, okay, from a probability perspective. There's a higher chance in taking the high than breaking down successfully. Okay, so this was quite a significant tap that happened over here, impacting the probabilities positively for the bulls. Right, let's take the scribble here out the way. I just want to zoom back out into the structure. Okay, I'm here on the 4-hour time frame. Guys, these probabilities, I cannot explain to you how often they play out, okay? I actually want to harp on it a little bit more. Right, look at what happened during this entire range. Do you guys remember? From the high to the low, 0.8. From the high to the from the low to the high, sorry, 0.8. There was been many 0.88 taps. I'm not going to go through all of them again, but I remember, and for those of you that are the diehard fans that's been here for a while, you know, during this entire range, I was screaming for the top to be claimed and an unsuccessful breakdown to the downside based on all the 0.88 taps that we formed inside of this range. So the probabilities do play out more often, okay, than just breaking down, especially after a 0.88 tap, because I know that there will be people that's going to say, well, this is a 1, this is a 2, we're going down on a 3, 4, 5, okay. Bear market is starting, we're going down to $90,000. Well, based on this retracement, this scenario carries low probability. It's not an invalidation, but it carries very low probability. Okay, also the move to the downside cannot be counted as an impulsive structure, and as the song I've been singing for the last couple of weeks already is, we are still, the probabilities is whatever is happening here is still corrective. We're going to take out the high before we take out the low. Okay. Right, so just quickly want to zoom out here onto the 4-hour time frame. Just look at this entire structure. So let's just, go onto the larger time frame and then zoom in step by step. 4 hour, 1 hour, 15 minute. Hopefully we won't get to the 5-minute time frame. Okay, and right, so one of the scenarios that I am still keeping an eye on is this one. And this scenario at the moment carries the highest probability based on the structures inside of the momentum to the upside. It does count better as 3-wave structures to the upside, okay? Whether you count this as a WXY, whether you count it as an ABC, where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it does look better as a 3-wave structure. You have a 3-wave structure in a number 2, you have a 3-wave structure in a number 3, and guess what? You have a 3-wave structure in a number 4. And now the question is, this is where the big question is at the moment, is 4 done? Okay, and this is what we're going to talk about today. But what you would expect is for price to eventually complete a 5th wave, and then, okay, this is going to be the moment of truth. Is this going to be a corrective structure like I'm analyzing here at the moment, or is this going to form an impulsive structure to the downside? So for the bulls, you want a higher low. For the bears, you want to take the low. This will confirm a bear market. This will confirm continuation of the bull market to the upside. The structure needs to remain intact. You need to create a higher low for continuation. Right, so now Just to quickly wrap up the scenario, guys, yes, the cookie is still there. Some people ask me, Dewald, is the cookie still there? Yes, the cookie is still here, guys. I don't want to put the cookie too far away. I want Bitcoin to still smell this cookie, okay? If I put it too far away, it can't see or smell the cookie. So it's most likely that it's going to go and eat up that cookie at $150,000, $160,000. Right, so if this scenario had to play out according to textbook, okay, we still expect, whether we still get a correction and a one move here to the upside, okay, or we just continue from where we are here to the upside, from a trend-based fib extension, okay, this is the invalidation for this scenario. So if price aggressively starts pumping here to the upside and it taps the invalidation box, it means that the fifth wave is longer than the third wave. And it also means that your third wave is the shortest, which is not allowed, and it will invalidate the scenario. So if $137,000 is tapped, well, then we're most likely going much higher. Okay, and we ain't most likely going to see a correction like this. Right, so for the bulls, you really want $137,000 to be tapped. For the bears, any rejection before $137,000 means that we could still have a larger corrective structure before we get continuation to the upside and Bitcoin eats the cookie. Right. Okay, so invalidation for the scenarios, obviously there's an invalidation to the top side and there's also invalidation to the downside. It has to be contracting. It should not be an expanding or a parallel channel. Right, so if price had to fall down here and it taps the invalidation, the scenario goes in the bin. Right, for now, the scenario is still intact, has not been invalidated, and right, and it's for the moment my primary scenario that I'm keeping an eye on. Right, okay, so let's take this out the way. Can take the cookie out. Right, maybe I should leave that cookie there. You just never know, right? Bitcoin needs to smell that cookie. Okay, maybe I should drag it down ever so slightly. So, you know, it's that flavor, you know, it must smell that cookie flavor over there. Chocolate chip cookie flavor. Right, legends. So this is basically what I'm still looking at from a larger time frame perspective, specifically focusing here on the 4-hour time frame. Now the question in everyone's mind, okay, let's zoom into this structure. Okay, so let's go on to the 1-hour time frame and look at a couple of scenarios. Okay, so from a probability perspective, like I said, 0.88 has been tapped when you take a fib from the high to the low. Beautiful. That's what you want to see, because it's also, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it also tapped a flat target. Let me do this. Just want to make sure. From the high to the low. Let's switch on the 0.9. Very close. Yes, flat target has been tapped. Okay, 0.9 Fibonacci. Okay, I have to zoom in so you guys can see the 0.9 properly. Okay, the 0.9 is considered a flat target. So that is where flat corrective structures starts playing out. Okay, so knowing that the 0.9 has been tapped, it opens up the door to a couple of scenarios that I would like to share. So first up, right, let's zoom back. Take this out the way. Where are we going to start? Is the flat. Right, flat scenario. Okay. This is the most bearish case scenario that I have currently in my folder. Most bearish case scenario. Because you have a 3-wave structure in an A, B has to tap a flat target, which it did, in order to create a 5-wave C to the downside. So if for whatever reason Bitcoin decides to tank, this is definitely a scenario that I will be keeping an eye on, and this 1-to-1 extension looks very, very attractive because it's a very common C-wave target. Okay, so basically what you want to count this structure as an impulsive structure to the downside with 5 waves. You want to create a 3-wave corrective structure to form your wave 2. And then all hell needs to break loose and we need to fall. Okay, you want to see an impulsive, aggressive, high selling pressure kicking in, and then you form your 4 and your 5, hopefully on a lower amount of volume. But I have seen that C waves also likes to end on a high amount of volume. But you're basically looking for a 5-wave impulsive structure to the downside to come and eat up the low. Right, so from a trend-based FIB perspective, if the scenario had to play out, levels that I will definitely be keeping an eye on is the trend-based FIB. You take your trend-based FIB from the high to the low to the high. Okay, 1-to-1 extension, 1.236, 1.382. It's all C wave targets, but this one looks very juicy because of all the liquidity below this low. Okay, so the first area that I will be paying attention to is the 1-to-1 extension at 110, let's call it $111,000. Okay. This is, legends, the most bearish case scenario that I have at the moment. Okay. I have also told the Legends Pro community this morning, I just want to make sure that I'm here in the middle. Okay, Dewald took the cookie from the cookie jar. Baldy Air, welcome to the live stream. Mr. Jack, always appreciate the mods being here. Miss Melanie, long time no see. Yes, welcome to the live stream. I usually see you in the live streams when I do late evening live streams, because then I believe it's early morning for you there in Los Angeles. Okay, just I quickly want to say hi to the community here. Dewald, since we invalidated the 112, I am sad we won't have a good alt season. Well, altcoin season can still happen, guys. Definitely still happen. I will go through all of the scenarios and show you which one I think carries the highest probability at the moment. Joan, Mr. Joan, I appreciate all the brainstorming that we are doing together. There's something interesting that I also, but based on myself and your conversations, okay, there's something interesting that I want to discuss with the legends, with everyone here on the live stream. Something that we discovered, okay, together. Right, Mr. Joan, I appreciate all the technical analysis that you share with me. And Mr. Joan, for those of you that don't know, over here, okay, also does Elliott wave theory beautifully. So I spotted his work and I asked him, you know, share some of your analysis, you know, throw some this way. Maybe you see something I don't. Let's put brains together, because Elliott wave theory and corrective structures can get very complex, and it's always nice to bounce your ideas against someone. So I appreciate all the analysis that you've been sharing with me, Mr. Joan. Okay, right, legends, let's continue over here. So this is the most bearish case scenario that I see at the moment, is that this high will not be taken. We're going to form a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pay attention. Okay, it's still a 3-wave corrective structure, which means that that high is most likely going to be claimed. Okay, I would actually prefer this scenario because it's a better risk to reward trade. Because boy oh boy, am I going to build a swing trade here if price does get a 5-wave structure here to the downside. This is beautiful swing trade territory. Price gets acceptance back above, okay? Maybe you don't have your FIB levels, but the most important thing you want to see is price getting back above this low. Okay, so whatever happens over here, you want price, okay, to get acceptance back above. That's your confirmation. You know where to put your stop loss. You're targeting the high. That could be a beautiful swing trade. So we don't always get what we want. So let's move on to the next scenario that I'm currently looking at, is a WXY. Okay. This scenario for me carries the highest probability at the moment from a corrective perspective. Okay. There's a couple of issues that I have picked up in the where's my pen? Okay, there's a couple of issues that I have picked up in an impulse to the downside, like I've just discussed, a C wave. Definitely a scenario that I'm highlighting, so we know if it does play out, okay, we are prepared. But this scenario just counts way better. There's less mistakes inside of this scenario, and I'm not going to go through all of the details, okay, in terms of why the scenario carries the highest probability. But in this scenario, what we are looking at is a W, okay, X, and then a Y that finishes in a flat. A flat in a Y carries always a higher probability than a triangle. Okay, you basically form an A, B, C. You do not take out the low, okay, and you continue momentum back to the upside. Right. Guys, And I think that this is what, makes the count so interesting, is that even if you count this as a bullish structure, however you want to count it, because I see there's some people going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with an extended fifth wave. I see there are some people saying, no, it's a contracting with an extended fifth wave, which is not really, it doesn't really matter. If you are counting this as an impulse, okay, or some people are counting this as, right, we still need to make a fifth wave to the upside, okay? You might be counting this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? You are still, after you've created a fifth wave, you still expect a corrective structure without taking out the low. So guys, I go through many scenarios when I prepare for the live stream, and I try and keep it as simple as possible, because if I have to go through every single Elliott wave scenario, it will just confuse the living hell out of everyone. So I have to go through all of the scenarios to determine which one carries the highest probabilities and discuss the, from a worst case perspective and from a best case perspective. So let's just keep it simple, okay? Whether price still claims the high or not, you could still have a larger corrective structure. Some people might see it as an A, B flat, okay, and then a C to the downside. 5-wave structure ended over there. I will count it as, well, that's a B wave that ended over there, but you're still looking for a larger corrective structure. Okay, so after an impulse, correction. After an impulse, correction. Okay, so the point that I'm trying to make over here, guys, is regardless of how you count the structure, okay, whether it's a WXY, whether it's a 1, 2, 3, okay, same result. Can you guys see? Same result. Okay, right. So in this scenario, we are basically going to continue the range. As per the thumbnail and the title in the thumbnail, there's a high chance that we are still going to continue the range. You make a higher low, and then we get continuation to the upside. I do still see that there's a lot of people, okay, from a social media perspective, that are keeping an eye on these two trends. We broke out. Yes, and there's a good chance that we're going to stay broken out, okay? If I now extend the trend line over there. So you basically broke out, you consolidate above the trend, you make a higher low, and you continue. Okay. Right, so there's a good chance that you can still, whatever happens over here, guys, there's a good chance that price can still form a higher low and continue, regardless of how you count the structure. Okay, if this is an X, just a game of probabilities that I quickly want to highlight is, if this is an X and not a B, because X tapped a flat target, it's not, well, it's very uncommon to take out the origin of W. So you could also form a triangle, guys, but I don't really want to go into triangles unless the structure starts revealing a triangle, because triangles always takes the back seat. You need to look at flat structures first before you start thinking about triangles. Okay. Right, so this is one scenario. Let's see if I'm covering everything. We've gone through that. Okay, this structure, guys, does count better. Okay, now let's focus here on the local structure. Let's go on to the 15-minute time frame. Now let's start zooming in over here. This structure to the upside for me counts better as a 3-wave structure, a WXY. It counts better as a 3-wave structure, basically a WXY. Okay, I know that there are some people counting diagonals, and it doesn't really matter, guys, because even if this is a 3-wave structure, you could have an A, B, C, and then people are going to be like, yeah, that was your 5th wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Doesn't really matter, okay? It's the same result. Okay, so now the question is, okay, can we move higher from where we are right now? I don't really see the probability at the moment for moving high, well, for claiming this high at the moment. Okay, but now I want to go through. Now that's more local. Okay, so guys, I was looking at this double 1-2 combo. Just want to throw it in the bin in front of everyone. This is one of the scenarios that I was keeping an eye on. Okay, 1 2 1 2 3 4, which got invalidated. 5 4 5. Okay, so yesterday or last night it got invalidated because this little fourth wave is not allowed to tap the 0.618 when you take a fib from the low to the high. So this scenario, deleted. And I know there's someone that asked here in the comments, Dewald, the double 1-2 combo looks like it's invalidated and our altcoin season is gone. Guys, remember, you can still have altcoins, okay, making upwards momentum while Bitcoin is going sideways. Okay, let's just put this scenario back over here. Let's say this scenario is going to play out. Okay, you can still have altcoins popping, especially if dominance drops while Bitcoin is going sideways. It doesn't matter that it doesn't mean that altcoins are just gonna tank. Okay, it would be nice because it does look like some of the altcoins need a little bit of a correction, right? They've been just blasting, especially like Ethereum. I think Ethereum needs to start cooling down at some point. Right, so now I want to now focus. Okay, this most probably the most interesting part about the live stream is everyone wants to know, well, can I enter a trade? Okay, is there trading opportunities here at the moment? Okay. Right, so let's put on my today analysis. Okay, so guys, yesterday, let's go on to the 15-minute time frame. Let's zoom into the structure. I know it looks a bit messy, but this is some of the things that I was looking at this morning, is that this structure, okay, let me open up this folder and just clean it up a little bit. Okay, this structure here to the downside, for me, counts better as a three-wave structure. Because of the mess that happened over here, you have a 1-2 and it looks like another 1-2. So ideally what you would have wanted to see is a 3-4-5-4-5. It's just very difficult to count a double 1-2 and a 4-5-4-5 at the bottom. Okay, it does count better as a 1 or an A, B, C. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you have a corrective structure. Guys, I know you can label this as a W as well. You can label this as an X. You can label this as a Y. It doesn't really matter. Okay. So, but for me, it looks better as a three-wave structure. But I know, you can count it as a five-wave structure as well. So if I take out the ABCs, switch on the five-wave structure, because I know this is how some people have counted it as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 did not tap the 0.618, so it's valid. And now you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside of your fifth wave. Okay, so this could be an A. If it takes the low, it could create a flat. A, B, C. Okay, definitely a chance, and I will be paying attention to the low for a trading opportunity. Okay. Looks like it wants to come and claim this low over here, because I was kind of in the camp of this morning when I shared the analysis with the Legends Pro community. I said, okay, well, this looks like A, this looks like B, and it now looks like it needs to go and create a C here to the upside. Okay, but if it takes this low, it will invalidate that scenario, right? Because this could still be an A, this is a larger B, and then it goes up for the C to the upside. Right, so I will consider a swing failure from the lows. Definitely. Okay, if price continues to drop here to the downside. So trading opportunity. Again, guys, not guaranteed. Always, you have to practice good risk management. I will only consider a long if price is above my area of interest. If price dips below and it just, it's here below, I'm not interested. Okay, I need a confirmation trade. I'm not in the game to try and catch the bottom over here, because that is how you burn accounts. I'm in the game to see the strength back above, so I know where to put my stop loss, and then, okay, I can go and determine the profit-taking areas. Right, so, guys, whether this is a ABC or whether this is a five-wave structure, you still expect in a five-wave structure an A, B, C. you still want to see a 3-wave structure. Okay. If this is A, okay, and it's a 3-wave structure, you still want a B. You want a 3-wave structure in a B. So whether we claim the lows or not, I'm still expecting upwards momentum. Okay, let me just take this time trend-based flip out the way. So locally, this is kind of what I'm seeing over here. Also, you know, from a simplicity perspective, without going into Elliott wave theory, guys, I was just keeping an eye on the trend. Okay, we have a nice little trend here to the downside. It got broken and it looks like it did a beautiful retest. Okay, and this is why I highlighted this potential longing opportunity for the legends, for the pro community this morning. So fresh information is that it either stops here and it goes, and this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in your C wave, okay, or it takes the lows in a B flat. So this trade can either maintain itself or it takes the low, and I will consider another longing opportunity based on the rules that I've just explained. I just quickly want to look at CVD. Let's just refresh this. I saw some local bullish CVD building up before the live stream, so I just want to see if it changed. Yeah, I mean, Bybit is absolutely confusing. No use looking at Bybit, but yeah, I mean, there was loads of bullish CVD. We did not claim the high. Okay, it's just yeah, not, but we do have bullish CVD on blue, on white. Still need to come and claim this high. So there's still a chance to come and claim this high. Whether we swing the low or not, there's a high chance in coming to claim this high. Okay, right. And that is basically what I'm looking at, guys. The one thing I do want to highlight, okay, and this is where things might become a little bit more difficult, is that if this is A, okay, and this is forming a B wave, right? These little B waves are notoriously difficult to trade. Some Elliott wave counters or traders, technicians, stay out of the market when they identify a B wave because of how complex they are to trade. Okay, so some days there are traders that just sit on their hands, doesn't matter how experienced they are. Okay, because of how difficult B waves can be to trade. Because the problem with a B wave is if this is A and this is forming a B or a B, okay, you want to see a 3-wave structure in a B wave, is that they can take the highs. They can tap the 0.9, they can tap the 0.8, they can reject here by the 50% Fibonacci or the 618. They have so many targets. Okay, they are notoriously difficult to trade if this is in fact a B wave. Okay, right, so this is basically the scenarios that I am currently watching, guys. Not much else at the moment. If we do, I just want to stress something. If we do take the low, okay, if price does take the low, you have to adjust your trend. Okay, then you have to adjust your trend. But until then, trend is over here. It has not taken the low. Okay, let me go through some comments. I think I've basically covered everything that I wanted to cover over here. Impulse up, I've covered that. Okay. Yeah, guys, I just quickly wanted to highlight this. I see that there are some people counting it like this. Okay, not a high probability, guys, but the end result basically is the same as per the larger time frame. 1, 2, 3, 4 extended 5th wave in a contracting diagonal. Not allowed, guys. Well, it's not an invalidation. It's just extremely rare to see an extended 5th wave inside of a contracting diagonal. Okay, so it doesn't make any sense. I just wanted to highlight it because I see there's people on social media saying that this is a contracting diagonal with an extended 5th wave. There's way better ways to count the structure than this. Okay, but even if this is the case, with or without the lines, because, you know, this could also be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in an impulse, okay? Number 4 did not overlap 1. So I would rather say remove the damn lines. It's not a contracting diagonal, Okay, if this is a 5-wave structure to the upside, well, what do you expect? After the low is made, you have a 5-wave impulse. You want to see a larger corrective structure that then continues to the upside. So, in other words, if the impulse is finished, like some people are speculating, if the impulse is finished, it's not time for the corrective structure to be done. It's too short. Look at this little corrective structure compared to the impulse. Doesn't make any sense. So what I like to do is take a time fib from the low. Okay, so if you're counting this as an impulsive structure, you need to take your time fib from the low to the high. Okay? And if you think that this impulse has now finished, well, you're in for a nice surprise, okay? Because it's way before the minimum target. You want the corrective structure to continue up until after at least the 0.382, which is on the 14th of August. Okay. Right. Just quickly wanted to highlight that. So legends, from a simplicity perspective, okay, I quickly want to look at something else as well, but let me go through some comments and then I can go and discuss what I see from a symbol support and resistance perspective as well. RM, welcome to the live stream. Pac-Man, always great to see the mods here on the heat map. There is no liquidity except around 121 2000. Okay, so basically up here. No liquidity. Ooh, 121 200, round about here. 121 200. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's a point of control there as well, guys. You know, always keep an eye on your levels. Okay, it's a little bit further up depending on which exchange you use. It might be a little bit different. Let's go back here onto the 15-minute. So, I mean, if we're going to get a B wave here to the upside, doesn't matter what wave it is, guys. If we're going to get momentum to the upside, maybe you're playing the break of trend. You know where to put your stop loss. Price currently is still making a higher low. Okay, this could be an A. This could be a B. And then you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yourself out of here. Okay. Right, so the only level that I have is a naked point of control at $121,700. Okay, so if I switch on my session volume profile, and I am using Binance, which is, you know, a lot of volume being traded here, 15-minute, you'll see it's a little bit lower, but when I jump onto the 1 hour, it changes. Okay, I have found from a backtesting perspective that the 1 hour naked point of controls gets respected a little bit more. So they do jump around, and it does become a little bit tricky sometimes as to, well, where do I actually now place it? Okay. But what is interesting, guys, this will definitely offer resistance. Okay, previous day value area low. Okay, so guys, now we stop with Elliott wave theory. Okay, now we just look at other technical trading scenarios. Okay, and you have a high volume node right over there as well. So it's always interesting to me to look at the volume that was traded yesterday. There is a high volume node, and there is the highest volume node, which then equals your naked point of control. But if price had to find upwards momentum, whether it does that or this, okay, definitely value area low, high volume node, that is where price could reject and continue the momentum back to the downside. A, B, C, okay, 3-wave structure to the downside, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the downside. Right, so if you are looking for shorting opportunities, well, you have a nice little high volume node over there. Okay, you have the value area low, so definitely a rejection zone that could happen over here. Price fails to get acceptance back inside of the previous day value area range, and it rejects. Okay. If it gets acceptance back inside the previous day value area range, then you're looking at the point of control for potential rejection. But like I said, guys, if this is a B, C, these B waves, they are difficult to trade because of how many targets they have. You basically have to have your Fibonacci area levels ready, okay? And you just observe the reaction at each level. Okay, I do like that pivot at the 618. Very nice pivot for a swing failure pattern. Exactly at the 0.382, you have the value area low. Okay, and then here, you have the flat targets. And B waves, if this is going to form a B wave to the upside, well, they love flat targets as well. Okay. So, right, let's go through some more comments. Yes, Dewald is here. I'm going to rewind and start from the beginning. Thanks for streaming, Dewald. No problem, Jeroen. Always appreciate your support here. That's my short entry. Haha. Okay, not sure where you're planning to short from, but you can see where it's currently struggling as at the 0.236. Okay, it is currently struggling at the 0.236. But I also, if this is an impulsive structure, okay, because some people are counting this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If this is an impulsive structure here to the downside, it's also too short. The correction is too short. It needs more time. So whether it does this or whether it does that, you still want a larger corrective structure before you form a 1, 2, 3 to the downside. So it's not time yet. Okay, it needs more time. Right, thanks, Dewald. Absolute pleasure. CPI coming out today. Oof, yeah, so high impact news, guys. Please trade carefully. Make sure that your positions are either protected when the CPI data or high impact news comes out, or you just stay out of the market. Wait for it to cool down, and then you can get back into the market. I'm not a big fan of trading news events. Okay. Dewald, how do this sideways double zigzag stands with the macro price action that you speculate on a diagonal? Is the diagonal be only regular zigzags ABC? Okay, so let's just quickly go through that question. Let's just switch. I just want to switch off the session volume profile, clean up the folder, take out all the noise that we don't need. Okay, so if I go back here, let's go 8 hour. Right, so very interesting question, because if we are still looking at an ending diagonal or a leading diagonal, okay, I must actually rename it. It can be an ending or a leading, okay. Ending is it's going to take the low, it's done. Leading is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ABC. You continue to the upside to go and eat up the cookie. So if the correction still continues, okay, so let's look at this little structure here. And let's switch it on, actually, the WXY. Okay, so you can see in the worst case scenario, if we still form an ABC, all I will do is this. It's still contracting as long as it does not tap my invalidation. So you basically form a three-wave structure, three-wave structure, three-wave structure, three-wave structure, three-wave structure, three-wave structure to the upside. Okay, all just composed of three-wave structures. So basically you can see that this scenario can still fit into the leading diagonal or ending diagonal without invalidating it. And this is why I said that the C wave needs to find support, okay, before it claims the lows. Because if it's going to claim the low, it's most probably going to tap the invalidation for the leading diagonal. Right, but there's still time, guys. There is still time. Okay, you have a three-wave up, three-wave down, three-wave up. Right, and I must say all of the structures so far counts better as three-wave structures. I know we've gone through this little structure here also multiple times. Some people are saying this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, not a beautiful corrective structure over there. Okay. Right, so I hope I've answered your question, man. Perfect, thank you. Taliman, absolute pleasure. Much love, Dewald. Remember, guys, to smash up that like button if you haven't done so already. If you'd like to come and trade with me, okay, the best deals for the exchanges are down in the description below, where it costs you nothing extra. All you need is an email and a password to sign up with these exchanges and start trading. Okay, I've got Bluffin, 20% cash back, and also for the whales out there, okay, well, for bigger traders like myself, I know there are some of you out there, okay, if you deposit 25k, you get VIP status 1, 50k VIP status 2, and you also get 10% cash back on the money that you deposit in your features account. BTCC, also an exchange that I'm trading on at the moment. Weeks, 20% cash back on the money that you deposit, 25% discount on your trading fees, and you also automatically get upgraded to VIP status 1. Okay, so that is basically what I wanted to discuss. Okay, yeah, I also like this one, but it isn't an invalidation for diagonal when there's a double zigzag according to Elliott Wave Bible, not according to my knowledge. Okay, as long as it's 3-wave structures. Okay, as long as it's 3-wave structures, because all the structures so far to the upside has been 3-wave structures, whether it's double zigzags, doesn't matter. Okay, like from a structure perspective, you've patron, but I will go do more research. Maybe there's something about the structures inside of a diagonal that I do not know. Okay, but what's most important to me is, guys, without knowing all the details, I have invalidations. It's as simple as that. Okay, where did I put this now? Here we go. From a simplicity perspective, okay, I have invalidations. You guys, you can go crazy, okay, inside of these structures on the smaller time frames. You can get Elliott Wave crazy inside of the smaller structures. When in doubt, and when, you know, things doesn't make sense, people tend to zoom in. What you should be doing is zooming out. Okay. I have a potential ending diagonal or a leading diagonal. It counts for me better on the larger time frame as 3-wave structures, 3-wave structure, 3-wave structure, 3-wave structure, and it can be another 3-wave structure here to the upside. Okay. I have an invalidation and I have an invalidation. So the scenario will still stay intact until one of the invalidations are tapped. Right. I mean, for now, this is the highest probable scenario at the moment. Guys, I know there is a more insane scenario. Okay. I don't really want to talk about it, but there is another scenario. Let's go here onto the daily time frame. Okay, let me see if I have it here. Is it this one? Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely wild, guys, where you basically formed a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. So, you know, absolutely insane, but your invalidation is a lot further. Okay, it's $98,000, around about $98,000. I don't particularly like this structure because of the internal counts. Okay, but it is definitely something that I will be talking more about once the diagonal gets invalidated, or if it does get invalidated. So if the diagonal, oops, where's now the in? Here we go. Okay, so if price pumps over here and it taps this line, okay, invalidating the diagonal, then I'm going to be talking about this scenario. But I need my invalidations to be tapped to give another scenario higher probability. Okay, I mean, it's good news, guys. If we tap this invalidation, it's great news. Absolutely fantastic, right? Because then we can go much higher. You know, you're looking at past $200,000 for Bitcoin if the scenario had to play out. But I'm not going to be that moon boy that screams for $200,000 knowing that my invalidation has not been tapped yet. Okay, so I take it level by level. Right, legends, I have unfortunately run out of time. Remember to smash up that like button if you haven't done so already. And have yourselves an amazing day. Until the next one, cheers for now.